Hey guys, hope you're all well. This was a breakdown I did with one of my amateur boxers, Zane. He wanted to study a Sugar Ray Leonard amateur fight, so we studied his Olympic final against the Cuban Aldama. It's a super interesting study, and I just wanted to basically make a video on how I would break down a fight with my boxer, trying to make it as understandable as I can for them. So hopefully there's a lot to learn for you guys as well. He doesn't talk much during the video, he's mainly taking notes. But I thought it was a good example of a different approach that I would personally use to studying boxing matches with a boxer, as opposed to just doing it for YouTube for general fans of boxers. So yeah, hope you enjoy, guys. Okay, so first thing we're going to see, I think, is the lead hand from Ray Leonard. So he's got a couple of things to do at long range. So he walks forward, obviously his opponent's a southpaw. Now I think Aldama was very well known for power punching, okay? So the first thing we're going to see is him use this slip look, right? And then touch the front glove before stepping out with his front foot, offline with the jab, okay? So he slips that and then just puts his backhand there. Now, I don't know if it lands properly, it doesn't really matter. And then you see him sort of stay in that squared position, sort of shuffle in, but his opponent backs off, right? Okay, so now he's gonna step back again. He's gonna go into this long, sort of low lead hand guard. Aldama jabs, and then he just jabs the gloves, all right? So he's keeping him off him straight away with his jabs to the gloves, and then slips again, offline, and then lands his two. Now, obviously, that's known as the southpaw killer, whatever. It's a good thing to do if you're in a sort of single shot battle. So if it's volume versus volume, single shots like these, if it's a good counter puncher, for example, Josh is someone, if you just lead in with your right hand like that, he's looking for you to do something as non-set up as this. Do you understand? If you slip his jab and look for that, then maybe, but even then he's kind of like touching out with his jab so that he can slip and come back with his own backhand, right? Okay, so let's keep going. He shuffles backwards. Again, just letting Aldama come forwards, relaxed looks, and then just jabbing the gloves, right? Or the arm, at least. And then what's he do? He's going to set up his right hand again. He's going to come offline with his left hook, okay? It kind of lands the left hand, and then he goes for this too. Now, what was the issue there?
Squares off a bit.
A little bit, yeah, but also it's just a 3-2, okay? No real setup behind the right hand. It's almost like a stay there punch. Do you understand? So after this, he kind of, as you can see, like you said, he squares up, so he kind of shuffles around to the left. First thing he has to do is to sort of parry that lead hand, right? And he's going to feint a little bit, keep Aldama off him. So right now, he's just occupying Aldama at this long range, again, touching the gloves here before coming around. Great lead hand work, just hooking around to the shoulder. And look what Aldama's doing every time, just backing off, giving him a little bit of space to breathe. Now after this left hook, he's going to step back, break his base, shuffle across to his left a little bit. You can see Aldama's lead hand is quite long, isn't it? So you see that long range position of defending the lead hand is something that you probably shouldn't do, but you see how much intention he has behind defending the lead hand, right? Okay, again, a bit out of range here. Feints, comes in behind his hook, but uses it to the shoulder, and then aims for this right hand. Now he's taking the outside foot position here, offline with his head, and that's how he can land it a little bit, all right? So good intention. You can't fault him for that. And again, he's just finished the exchange. He knows he's coming back in, so he thinks he can slip the jab, but it doesn't really go anywhere, but then uses it to try to set up his right hand. Right hand right now is a bit over-eager. So that's how you can see it coming, because as soon as it's pulled back all the way to his hip, Aldama's seeing it come in and slipping off, all right? Back to a lead hand battle, right? So he's jabbing out to the air. He's coming forwards with shuffle steps. Ray Leonard's just taking a long sort of parry, isn't he? As he's stepping back, circling off. Again, just jabbing the arm, right? As you can see, he jabs the elbow there as he circles off to his left, trying to occupy the front hand as much as possible and not let him get started with it, all right? Okay, so he keeps going, just touching the glove as he's moving backwards, shuffling off, and then resetting just a tiny bit off to his left. Okay, again, just touching, parry, turning that touch into a parry sometimes. As you can see, his main game right now is the setup for his right hand and the lead hand sort of stifles, right? Okay, so here we're going to see a little bit of a reset game, okay? So he's seeing that his opponent's really harsh on the shuffle steps, okay? So he's going to misdirect to the right, move off to the left. Again, what does he do? Even as he's moving off to the left.
Parry.
Yeah, so he's sort of making sure that's the first thing he does while he's parrying, while he's moving, sorry. Again, takes that left angle. He's a bit sideways on, and he's going to come around to his left with a hook to the arm, okay? and then sort of feint the lead hand out a bit while he bolos up his right hand. And again, Aldama defends it because he can see it coming, all right? So, although it's good intent, he obviously is a little bit too...
Open about it.
Say again?
Open about it.
Yeah, exactly that. All right, so let's keep going. All right, as you can see, he looks backwards here, but what's he doing? Just keeping the lead hand in check just a little bit, causing a little bit of traffic in that space, you know? Again, just sort of touches the guard as he circles off a little bit to the left, and then is looking for a counter here. He's just looking for basically a walk-on counter. So he's waiting for him to come in and catch him with his hook as he comes in, right? And it does land, and it's sort of his check, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he does get caught with the left hand just as he's doing it. So walk-on counters are effective. And so are checks, really. But you have to be very bladed in order to look like it either missed or not take it fully front on. You understand? So he uses that check, moves around to the left, circles off, again, just jabs the guard. You can see even when his lead hand's down, right? He's still looking to defend the lead hand with that shoulder and that parry at the same time as he steps back. That's the most important thing for his defense right now. Okay, he's still moving back, keeping the distance subtly. He's not running away, is he? Or shuffling away all the time. He's just stepping back very subtly, not giving up too much ground at once. That's a little nice in an out feint, isn't it? As he's moving back, Aldama is doing a good job of being very consistent with his lead hand, right? So Ray Leonard tries to take the outside foot position again and sort of long parries it down as he moves off to his left, okay? Then he's using a couple of in and outs. He's touching the guard again, and that touch is trying to set up his slip. He doesn't slip offline enough and gets caught by this really, really quick left hand. And as you can see, if you compare their backhands, that's barely telegraphed. He just moves it down a little bit and then just pops it out, right? A really long reach on there as well. Ray Leonard's looking for a right-hand counter, so he tries to slip and come back with his own right hand, which I think kind of partially lands. But then they get into this clinch as he tries to hook him around. And then as you can see, he's pulling the lead glove. Aldama's working with his other hand that's free, and he's trying to block that hand, right? Again, stiff arm as he moves backwards and then tries to come on top of the lead hand in that weird sort of wrestling position, right? Again, as he sees the lead hand come out, he kind of hooks over the top, pulls it down, and then tries to set up his right hand, but his opponent sort of ducks under it. We're seeing the same thing. It's over-telegraphing the right hand, isn't it? If you want to land your right hand against a southpaw, best to do it as subtly as possible, okay? We're behind a lot of setup and not behind one setup. Okay, so they're in this clinch position. Again, it's kind of the same thing. Sugar Ray Leonard's squared up here, and then he just manages to keep his hands engaged on the shoulders, and that gives him a little bit of range to understand that he can pull away like this, but it's very dangerous. Very, very dangerous here, especially about such a powerful puncher. However, he does a good job here of stepping back and straight away looking for a jab counter. So that's a nice defensive reaction that you can even drill in the ladder drill, right? So when you're stepping back, you'll add a little jab at the end, okay? So there's one interesting thing in this round at close range that Sugar Ray Leonard does. And as you can see here, he's waiting to slip the jab, slip in and come up with this right-hand counter, which Aldama just sort of slips in the way of. And then they end up in this close range position. Again, Sugar Ray Leonard sort of grabbing like his upper body a little bit and getting as low as possible to sort of stifle the shots. He pulls back and then catches him with the left hook again. So whilst Aldama is thinking he's in a close range position, Leonard steps back, confusing the range a bit, and then he goes for this hook over the top, right? And then straight away, pivots in. Do you see that? So he hooks, pivots in, and now Aldama's on the ropes. They break away. So now we're going to see how he sets up his left hook, okay? So you see Aldama moving in, Leonard's touching the front glove as he steps back. Okay, you can see how forceful that sort of frame is. Keeping the space as much as possible. Then he's going to feint his lead hand, okay? Get under to land his right. Again slipped. He hasn't really landed a right hand this round. But then look what he does. He uses the right hand to square up his base. They're now in his close range position. He knows Aldama's hand is down, his lead hand, and then he waits for the left hook to come around. You can see how loaded up that is. Tries to block it a little bit, but that isn't his main intention. And then he just sort of turns his body, lands this really good left hook, okay? Kind of partial left hook, we'll say. But you're going to see how he keeps doing that and how it keeps working. As soon as he's finished, then he decides to stay bladed again, pull away, and then again, that step back and that 3 into a check, right? And then he resets off to his left. So do you see how confusing the range is right now? He's long range, close range, then staying there for a little bit, sort of that middle range now. As you can see, basically, just look at Aldama's base, and he's never really sure the distance, because Leonard's either squashing the distance or pulling back, right? So he's here, and then he throws this hook, moves off into a nice little reset to the left, starts to get bladed on, but still kind of continues the back pedal, right? He's going to jab in, get under, and then land this 2, I think. Then get to his chest, is happy to engage in this close range. You see Aldama trying to work, but Leonard's just squashing the distance onto his chest, isn't he? So as you can see, looks backwards, really light on his feet, misdirecting to his right, moving off to his left with a couple of jabs just to occupy the front hand. A nice little in and out feint here as he misdirects, moves off to the left again. And look how he speeds up his reset here. Once he knows that he can shuffle in from that side to cut him off, right? He just speeds up and then manages to move away from this left hand. Where does he go?
Straight to the center.
Exactly, yeah, straight to the center. So touching the front glove here, just kind of squashing the distance. So as you can see, what is this? It's kind of an in and out feint because he's moving forward with the jabs and then he's stepping back, okay? He's kind of stunted in place. He's not sure where to go. Misdirecting to his left, moving off to his right, misdirecting again. And then he uses that right hand setup that he's been using before, but with a lot more feints behind it. And then I think this one might land, kind of. But it's a better setup, isn't it? For a better setup in the right hand off the misdirections. He just kind of stops them in place and then goes for this right hand counter, tries to pivot off with this left hook and back into a reset. You can see Aldama trying to touch jab here, and he just touched jab in the air because Leonard's just not there for anything, okay? Again, misdirecting to the left, moving off to the left, touching the glove as he moves off, just making sure to keep the distance. Misdirecting to the right again. You see how it makes Aldama over-eager. He thinks he's getting a target at Ray Leonard, but Leonard just moves off. Again, what's the first thing he does? Front hand parry and keeps that sort of long guard into the reset. So really nice reset. And you see how long this reset is as well. He's very comfortable in it. And look at that. Wonderful little bit of work there. Moving off to the left. A little bit of lead hand counter. Roll out to the right once he's over-eager. Yeah? Bing. And then roll under. Back into the center. And what does he do after he finishes his reset? Does he go straight into a free?
No, feints.
Yeah, so straight into an in and out feint, isn't it? So here, as you can see, he's trying that left hook setup again, isn't he? So he's defending the front glove, using in and outs, stepping in with that backhand, which he knows is going to get slipped at this point because he hasn't landed one really this round. And then after that, kind of waits momentarily and offbeatly tries to move the front hand away and then tries to hook over the top, but he's out of range, okay? So he moves off, again, resets to the left, misdirects, and then goes for this 3-punch combination here, off the reset, but off the misdirection, isn't it? Not just off a reset. And then 1-1-2 as he closes the distance, doesn't really land, gets onto this close range position, and as he pushes him off, resets to the right. Again, loads of misdirections, punching off the misdirections with the right hand, as his opponent's look at his hips, pretty squared up. Yeah. Again, just making himself a really hard target, misdirecting to the right, and then checking off to the left. Again, back to the center, a couple of in and out feints, occupying the front hand. You can see how he gets under with this jab to the body to avoid the jab, can't you? So he's got pretty good lead hand work. Even if it's not like landing flush, it's not an issue for him because that's not what he's trying to set up. You know, he's trying to occupy the front hand. And it's the same thing we said again. If you occupy the front hand against a southpaw, you are blocking off a punching lane so that you can see the straight left coming way easier. So again, misdirects to his right, gives him a target, takes it away as he moves to his left. Long reset around. Again, sort of feinting the misdirections, getting under the jab and then hooking over the top. Even if it's to the shoulder, he doesn't really mind, creating a little bit of space for him to move out to the left. He feints the jab, right? He kind of blocks the lead hand and then he gets under, tries to land the 2, doesn't land again. They get into this close range position and then they clinch. When does he start fucking throwing his hook, man? That's what I want to know. Okay, there. Finally, we've gotten there. So he's moving backwards, right? He's waiting for the entry. He jabs out as he slips inside, tries to go for the right hand, squares up his base completely on the inside, and then as Aldama's pulling out, he has his lead hand low, catches him with a hook. All right, square on. Then he does it again. He walks forwards. What does he do? Gives him a target with sort of the shuffle drill, and then steps back. All right. Then he waits, gets sideways on, puts up his front glove as he slips inside. Same thing again. Right hand doesn't really land. Waits there, a bit squared up. Even squares his base even more. Boom. Same thing again. And it's always as Aldama's trying to load up with his left hand. Okay? So lovely work. He sort of stumbles over. Ray Leonard's still squared up. And then you can see him get back into a bladed position as he sees the left hand coming, slips off it, this time really low, compared to how he was doing it before where he got caught. And then gets at close range, squares up, and then tries for the left hook again. You see how much is stifled by him having his head to the chest.
Yeah.
Aldama's sort of using those chicken wing punches where you can't get your range right. And again, what's he going to go straight back into? Feint, right hand, square up the base, wait for him, boom. Okay? He now understands how to set up his left hook really, really well. And his timing on it is really good. It's always as he's either finishing or doing the left uppercut to the body, right? And then just knows there's an opening there, catches him square on each time. Again, shuffles back a little bit, pulls out of close range, steps back in, one, hook over the top, square up the base, and bing. Literally spamming the same setup every time now. Again, every time he shuffles out of range, the first thing he does is occupy that lead hand, isn't it? Again, short right hook as he squares up a little bit, gets on his chest, tries for the left hook around this time, but kind of times it a little bit too early. But the counter shots are kind of stifled anyway because of this hard position to punch at close range. Again, he's coming forward, ducks under the left hook, engages again with both arms. You see how he's always grabbing a hold of both elbows and trying to work forwards, but it is pretty difficult. So here and there on this close range position, you see how he tries to block the right hook to the body, just making himself really small. And then this time he's going to try to catch and counter with the uppercut and then the hook around, which lands quite nicely. He tries it again. This time lands really well. You can see, if you look at his right glove, right now, Aldama's engaging on it. As soon as he pulls it away, he finds the opening for the right uppercut, gets super sideways on with his right shoulder, and then uses it to sort of catch and counter with the left hook, right? Then gets small again. You can see how bladed on he is, even in his squared position, he is with his shoulder, right? And then just kind of tucks under, this time ducks a little bit into that left uppercut. Yeah, this range is dangerous any way, shape or form, but so is long range, so there's not really much to say about it. You are going to get hit either way. You can minimize the damage by making your shoulders a little bit smaller, you know? Okay, so here's a nice combination at close range. Again, Aldama's just thrown his left uppercut. He kind of relaxes a little bit, and that's when Ray Leonard's right hand frees up. He goes for this right hook to the body, really nice shot, and then these two hooks upstairs. Really lovely work. Again, you see how Aldama's reach isn't doing him much favors here because Ray Leonard's just trying to get to his shoulder and chest, and it's sort of making the punches just a little bit too wide, right? Yeah, because you see Aldama, what he's trying to do is hold the neck of Ray Leonard so that he can create a little bit of space with one hand and punch him with the other, right? But as soon as Ray Leonard realizes that his left hand's not there anymore, that's when he uses it to catch and counter. That's when he basically uses it to find the opening. And then again, after the right hook, engages with his right shoulder instead, makes it really hard to counter with that left side, which is the punch that Aldama obviously wants to land. And if any shot with the left hand, that's what he wants to do. So he pushes him a little bit, nice stable base, right? Even if it's squared up, Aldama's creating openings because his hand is literally on the neck, on the shoulders, on the traps of Ray Leonard. And then he just pushes him off of him. Ray Leonard steps back and then goes into a little reset, and that's the end of the round. Okay? Nice.
Thought there would be more lateral movement in it.
More lateral movement. He does use a couple of long resets, but it's a pretty good study into... He wasn't having a mad amount of success with anything until he went into that close range, you know? This close range work is pretty hard to do because obviously, as you can see, it's a dangerous thing to square up your base that much. But you can learn a lot from the resets, how he's really trying to keep his lead hand in check at all times on the reset. And you can see how he barely landed his lead hand at long range, but he still controlled quite a bit of the action. It's possibly one day just a good left hook setup on the inside, you know? So well done.